Hello again, it's Mr. Pete, your YouTube shop teacher. Welcome back to the shop. Now the subject of this video is about teaching aids that are used in high schools and colleges, even junior highs I suppose. And I have some samples sitting here before me, and I have many more besides this. But I really wanted to talk a little bit more about cutaways as well as the teaching aids. And I very recently made a video, and it's a two-part video, numbers 743 and 744, where I made a cutaway of this Procunier tapping head. So check that out if you like that type of thing. Now I've made a lot of cutaways over the years. I first became enamored of them when my dad took me to Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry. I've loved them ever since. I have a lot of these that I made at the high school that got trashed. And then I had a bunch of them here. You've seen them in my videos, What Makes It Work videos. And I made the mistake of loaning those out, and they never came back, and I don't believe they ever will. So let's begin here with some of these samples. And I want to talk about a very recent field trip that I made just here a week ago, which would have been October of 2021. You know what, I've got many models of steam engines, and those are for hobbyists as well as for schools, because this one shows how a boiler works, how a steam engine works, and how a little dynamo works. And there's a Wimhurst machine. We see those all the time. These came out of a school in eastern Illinois some time ago, and I just love these little electronic devices here. There's a motor. It's called a St. Louis motor because there's magnets on there, and it just can be used in several different ways. Here's a Sergeant Welch motor generator setup that is pretty neat. A gyroscope, and I forgot what you call this. These are those spheres that react with a vacuum. But anyway, this is the Procunier that I made here just a few days ago, very few days ago, showing how this works. I hope you will watch that video. I spent a lot of time, believe it or not, making something like this, but it's a labor of love, even if no one cares. Well, I'll tell you what prompted me to make this video concerning cutaways and teaching aids. And 3 days ago, I went to the Klairmont Kollection's Car Museum in Chicago. Not a good neighborhood, but just a beautiful facility, and I was hoping to meet Mr. Claremont. I had read a lot about him, but there's two of my buddies were waiting to be rung in. I think it was $21 to get in. You must go there. If you're interested in cars, you simply must go there. It is an absolutely amazing museum, totally restored cars. And I'm not really going to show you the cars, because let me show you right now a couple of videos that you can watch if you want to see the actual car collection. About 5 years ago, I watched this YouTube video called How the Klairmont Collection Came About, and there it is. There he is with his wife. Larry Claremont died at the age of 96 only 6 weeks ago. And he was a real estate tycoon, but this is probably a $100 million collection that he's got here. Watch this interview of him, a fascinating man. Here's a view of the museum. There are 2 floors, and this is a half-hour video showing all the cars, so be sure and check that out if you're interested in cars. This is the best car museum in Illinois. Also go to Volo. That's wonderful. That's not too far from here. So Larry Claremont collected things from around the world. This is from Germany, and it's a teaching aid showing the various parts, and of course the words are in German here. But I thought this was interesting, and I spent some time watching these. You know, over in Germany and in Europe, you got 2 paths when you're going through school. One is a vocational path, and they spend a lot of money on that, and the other is the university. So this is some of the teaching aids that they used over there. And here's one of the disc brake, very high quality. And here's one more on the hydraulic brake. He had several of these mechanical models from Germany, and they actually operate. However, they weren't operating that day. Maybe they're not in operable condition now, but this is approximately 4 foot long. Let me see if I can find the video. Okay, bear with me. Here is the video, and it's about 1 minute long, no sound. Okay, here's another one, also about 1 minute long. There were 3 or 4 of these. I only took 2 videos. Looks like an opal. And here is Larry Claremont's Obituary. Oh, how I wanted to meet that man. 6 weeks too late. They had a rather large working model, teaching aid model of a Wankel engine that I enjoyed looking at. There's something that failed in the marketplace. Remember when GM was going to come out with one? Mazda had a pretty good one that they did have in production. Here is a German model teaching aid of a 2-stroke engine. Now, we had one exactly like this at the high school when I was there, and 3 or 4 others all by the same company, and I'm going to show you more pictures of those in a minute out of a school catalog. This one obviously came from a school because the carburetor is missing and a few other parts I have noticed are missing because the kids loved to play with them. There was a flywheel on the back side, and they would just crank the heck out of those things, and several of them got stolen, I know, during the summer or when they moved the shop from one side of the street to the other. Some were gone. Well, they were all gone. I never saw them again. Well, I can sense that you're getting restless, so this is extra credit. I retired in 1998 for the first time. I retired 3 times. But this is a catalog that I took home with me, and shop teachers bought a lot from several different companies. One of the biggest was Broadhead Garrett. I don't know if they're still in business, but I'm going to show you some pictures in here of the various teaching aids that they offered for auto shop or power mechanics. You know, I'm always talking about planetary gears. I'm so fascinated with them, but there's a teaching aid. But look at $730, and this is over 20 years ago. And there's a glass motor along with the transmission for only $1,400. You could actually buy a really, really good used car at that time for that. There's a hydraulic double circuit brake. That kind of looks like the one I saw at Claremont. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. Probably from Germany. And there's that German 2-stroke engine that I just showed you at the museum for $400 and some. Boy, would I'd like to have this $600 steam engine model. Exploded view. This we also had at the high school from Germany, the 4-stroke diesel engine. There's the glass motor without the transmission. And there's the 4-stroke engine for, what is it, about $550. Batteries were included with that because as you rotated it, the little spark plug lit up. That was really a neat model. There was a Wankel as well, but I do not see it in this catalog. There were several scientific companies that put out thick catalogs, and this one is thick as a Sears catalog. There was Welch and Fisher Scientific and Central Scientific and probably others. I want to show you some neat teaching aids. Most of them in here are for chemistry and physics rather than industrial arts, but some could be applied to either. On this page there's a large vernier caliper teaching aid. They call them demonstration calipers. And then down here a large micrometer. Remember that I'm very interested in this because I operated Peterson products for 25 years while I was teaching, where I made teaching aids, specifically a big micrometer teaching aid. I've talked about that quite a bit. On the next page there's a big slide rule, but you've all seen those. Those were a nightmare. Here's quite a large diesel engine model that would have been used in a physics lab. I sure would like to have this one, a gasoline engine model. You know what? I owned one of these for a while, and I bought it at the same school where I bought that Wimhurst machine. And it's a 4-cylinder, and there were little bulbs that lit up in the proper order when you cranked it over. There was a camshaft and valves. This was really neat. I can't imagine teaching that in a physics class, though. I just don't see where the interest would be, but I sure enjoyed it. And I don't know what I did with the one. I guess I sold it. Anybody still actually watching? Now, I owned 2 of these over the years, and it's 35 centimeters long. It's a model of a locomotive, and the reversing gear actually did operate. This was really neat. Sorry I sold these. But one time I was visiting in a school, and I was in the physics lab, or some scientific lab, and it was a woman teacher. And I saw this through the glass case. And I said, "Can I look at that?" And she said, "What is that?" I said, "Well, it's a steam engine model." She said, "You can have that. I'm never going to use that." And she just plain gave it to me. I was delighted. And you can see that they offered these little steam engine models that you could buy at a hobby shop as well, and they certainly wouldn't use those anymore. That looks like it might be a Empire engine. I have several of those. So lots of still pictures at the end. I'm serious. Is anyone actually watching at this point? If you are, put it in the comments. And I think this video is quite long enough, and I've got it off my chest because I love these teaching aids and I love cutaways of all kinds. This is Mr. Pete saying so long for now. See you next time. Woo-hoo!